Welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors. My name is Chris, bringing it to you here from Westlake Village, California, where it is dark and it is early and it is colder than people in California like it. Anyways, what we're going to talk about today, some major setups coming into fruition. There's a classic setup here on the Bitcoin CME futures chart called a falling wedge. And what else are we going to talk about? Whether we are macro bullish or bearish on Bitcoin, and we're going to cover the short-term price action over the next 1 to 4 hours, medium-term price action over the next 1 to 5 days, and our higher-term time frames like over the next few weeks or months. And why don't I get into that really quick here? So short-term time frames, right? On a 1 hour, we got a range here between 47,630 to the upside and 50,400. And with that range broken, I mean, the measured move real quick is going to be like this. It's really easy. You just measure the range and a break to the upside. Boom. That probably gives you a continuation to the upside target of 54,000 and to the downside, the bottom side of our falling wedge. And that's coming in at 44,000. And do I think we could bounce there? I do. I do, in fact, think we could get a little bounce there. And that would be very, very nice, in my opinion, for a buying opportunity. So looks like we are short-term downside angled. We are getting lower highs and lower lows there. And in a sense, we also have Stokes pointing down, right? That's our momentum indicator. And you have volatility, which is kind of consolidating here or contracting. So maybe not a bounce of the range here, but maybe we fill this out a little bit more before we get a break. What I am expecting though, over the next 1 to 5 days, it looks like on the daily, we are, let's just start off with trend, right, on CME. So we haven't even really got a bounce yet on CMEs, in my opinion. It's just been straight down. More clearly, we've got a bounce on the daily here. Even on a daily here, doesn't even look. It just looks like straight down. We've had a slew of straight down. And here too, right, on the weekly. So why am I doing this? We typically like to get rejected at that 618 for a bear trap. And just to let you know here, taking some of these lines off here, what am I expecting over the next 1 to 5 days? Yes, another test of the lows and then probably a bounce up to the 618, which there's too many lines on this chart. Can I draw it out for you? Boom. So where's the 618? Coming in right at that red 10-day simple moving average. And so, I'd be looking for a quick up and down, fill out this a little bit and probably over the next 1 to 5 days. But if you look on a weekly, that's our most powerful time frame and generally sets the trend for the next 6 to 12 months, in my opinion. And that's a macro uptrend. And what do we have on the weekly here? We've got higher lows, right? Our first higher low and a higher high, right? And now we got a higher high, and now we need to put in a higher low somewhere. We haven't put in a low. It's been straight down. So could we put in a macro low over the next 30 days? And then boom, somewhere around January, February, resolve this to the upside, and the measured move brings us up to about 89,000. And these ascending triangles are typically going to break at about 75%, which is coming in right around the end of February. So that's what I'm postulating. And then if that gets resolved to the upside, I'd expect more of the same, sideways and up on Bitcoin. But we do have something I did want to talk about, big news to be watching out for this week. Is going to be the FOMC meeting this Wednesday. And the question is, whatever Powell says on the TV, is it going to be a catalyst to the market, right? Is he going to be more hawkish or dovish? And the answer is yes. Whatever he says is going to be a catalyst. The problem is we just don't know what he's going to say. And I used to say, look, anytime Jerome Powell gets on the TV, I'm bullish on markets because they never go down. And well, that's just not true anymore. Last week, with his more hawkish tone, saying they were more likely to taper sooner than later. I mean, NASDAQ crashed 7% last week. You had big tech stocks. Facebook and Tesla were down 20%. I think they still are down 20%. And however, the NASDAQ overall, the tech sector and S&P recovered quite nicely. And you can see, I'll put it on a 4-hour and boom. NASDAQ recovered quite nicely and, well, is getting rejected from the highs here. And I would say any kind of a 4-hour closure back below 16,150 and probably going to get a move back down to at least 16 and yeah, 16,000, and this falling wedge looks like it's about to get destroyed. So I would be watching out for that. And on a daily, how does it look? And we did say, yeah, look, we want to sell off the highs. So that's completely normal if this thing picks up and just holds dailies, you know, somewhere above 16,150. That's going to look okay for... And really, we want to watch out for the news this week. Whatever Fed says, you know, that's what the market does. The Fed will, and they have proven over time, right? They won't let collateralized assets go down. So even if the stock market does want to take a nasty 20, 30% spill, my guess is it's just going to pick itself back up like it always does. And anyways, given our stance right now, what Fed is, you know, what from the credible people I know in this, you know, space, and I'm not an economist, right? I don't, you know, although I study the markets, I wouldn't consider myself a economist, but the people I trust, you know, they're saying, you know, given this type of economic event, they expect inflation to run hot for a while. Even though the Fed may take measures to pull it back, their stance is that they're going to see an expedited taper, which means they're going to taper sooner than later. Which will probably not be good for markets. And that'll be a very rough time for the stock market if that pulls through. So my opinion, I just have to say a healthy amount of, I don't know. I'm leaning towards, you know, Powell having more dovish statements this week to carry the stock market on for a little Christmas rally. And we'll find out that, you know, this week on Wednesday. We'll be covering that. So let's jump right into all the underlying market dynamics real quick. First things first, we'll start it off with the Fear and Greed Index. Fear and Greed Index here is coming in at a 28, and we did say, look, we're expecting us to be in and that is the fearful zone for a few weeks, you know, as Bitcoin did come down from a high of 69,000 down to low about 42,000, and that does offer up in the background the underlying market dynamic perspective that Bitcoin is going to put in a low sooner than not. However, that needs to be identified with price action. And I'm going to go over some very clear areas to identify, hey, where's the time to be bullish and where's the time to be bearish, or at least in my opinion. And on the CME futures, any kind of a daily closure back above 54,000. And to me, that's going to look nice for a quick move back up to 58, 59,000. And then, you know, we'll play the game of lower high or not. But if we do put in a lower high somewhere in this region, that's not going to look good. But the measure move on this falling wedge, if we do break it to the upside, is going to be, you know, right back to the top side of the range, which is at 64,500. And I would say that would be, you know, rather bullish. And you can see back here on CMEs, these last few falling wedges have resolved perfectly to the upside and produced quite a bit of continuation. So that's something I'll be keeping a close eye on as well. And however, if we do have a daily closure anywhere to, you know, below, I'd say the daily low today here of 47,500, that I suspect would give us that quick move down to 44,500. And I'd be expecting a bounce at that point, but any kind of a break, you know, daily below there, and it's not going to look pretty. So over the next 1 to 5 days, yeah, I'm expecting a quick wick down, a quick wick up, and get some more of that leverage out of the market. We have open interest at 11.3 billion, taking a bit of a leg up from last week on Friday, and you know, from I think it was about 10.5 billion to 11.3. Bitcoin dominance, and we covered this. Bitcoin dominance popping up here to a 41 on the daily, but maintaining a bit of a downtrend here on the daily. On the weekly, we have been saying over the last few weeks and months, postulating this would be a macro low here, somewhere around 38 or 37%. And any kind of a break of this range above 48.5%, I am expecting Bitcoin dominance to take a nice leg up all the way up to 47, maybe 58%. And, altcoins will get slacked in their Satoshi pairing. The global leverage ratio, 0.18%. We had a slight tick up from last week. So leverage and open interest are still very high. And that means we could get a very, very significant move. And, back to our medium-term time frames, on Bitcoin, on the daily. Again, on the daily, we want to see a resolution of the range, and I suspect it does take some time and bore people and scare people, and, now's the time to really be watching things, but any kind of a daily closure below 46,500 to the downside, or call it, if you want to be more aggressive, 52,000 to the upside, I would say 54,000 on a daily, and that's going to produce a pretty decent sized move. But more importantly, on our macro view, for Bitcoin, I'm going to put it on the CMEs. It's a little bit easier to see, and I'll take some of these off. Our view on Bitcoin is that we are in a macro uptrend. We've got our first higher low here and a higher high. That is a trend reversal. And as long as we are closing weeklies above 42,000, we're in a macro uptrend. And that means, in our opinion, another 6 to 12 months of sideways and up. And if this thing does want to break out to the upside, again, this massive ascending triangle is going to look like this, right? So these like to break at about 75%. So you measure it at 50%, and 75% full would give us a break towards the end of February. And any kind of a weekly closure back above 65,000, the measure move on that is up to about 90,000, and I don't think it stops there. Personally, to the downside, could be rather severe as well. So definitely want to be keeping a close eye. Any kind of a downside move, here, that's putting us back down to 24,000. That'd be rather not nice. But that we're nowhere close to seeing that, and that's why we're covering this on a daily basis. More importantly, on the weekly time frame, I wish I could show this without all these lines, but on a weekly time frame, if you put our fib, we haven't got the weekly bounce yet to verify if it is going to be a bull trap or not, bull or bear trap, and that would be a bounce up to the 618, and we haven't got the downside move that Spot had. So that's why I am, I am thinking on this side that we want to wash out some more leverage, right, and scare some more people out, and that's typically what Bitcoin likes to do. There's a lot of new people in this market. So again, where would I be ready to get bullish on Bitcoin? Any kind of a daily closure back above 54,000 on CME. I will say the general picture is changing for the higher term time frames, like over the next few days or weeks. And why 54,000 on the daily? This was our last major breakdown region. You can see that was our support area right here, and then boom, we broke it and straight down to doggy town, down to 46,000 on the CMEs, and it was down about 42,000 or 43,000 on the spot price action. So that being said, what else did I want to go over here? Another thing on the CME chart, something bullish, something a point for the bulls. Whenever stocks have come down this low from the 11% region, that has preceded some very big bounces, and you can go back and test the results for yourself. But notably, this bounce in March of 2020, and we saw, let's see, can I get this on? March of 2020. March, April, March. Here we go. March of 2020. This bounce, from the bottom to the next high, call it 100%, call it 149%. I think that was a pretty nice bounce. But anyways, I don't have time to go back test them all today. just know typically a bouncy region. And I would say if daily Stokes begin to cross up here with any kind of a closure on the daily back above, I believe we got to close back above 50,500, Stokes would cross up. And I'm just noting this here too as we're going through. And sorry, there's a lot of lines on here. I don't know if that is helpful or not. But what we do have is a descending triangle. And these are more likely to break to the downside. And the more times you test a trend line, the more likely it is to break. And what do we have is, well, a lot of, tests along this trend line. And I would say on a 4-hour, this is a downtrend, right? We've got a lower high and we've got another lower low and a lower high. And so where would a lower low come in? Probably around 45,000 around the bottom side of this Trollinger band here. But also we have volatility about to tick up, volatility expanding. Stochastics are still crossed up as long as we are closing above here. Now, any kind of a closure below this bottom side Trollinger band, 46,800, Stokes will cross down and volatility will cross up. Could we get the move we're looking for today? I really don't think it's likely. Why? Well, I was going to say NASDAQ is popping up or grinding against the highs. So as long as NASDAQ is holding higher lows and higher highs and grinding against the top side here, I think Bitcoin probably picks itself back up. But if this thing wants to break down and we get to move back down to 15,500, I do think we will get that move in Bitcoin that we're talking about. So I have been getting a lot of questions about, how do I set up TradingView? What do all those lines mean? And yes, I'm going to commit to putting out a video this week on how to set up a free TradingView account. Just a little tutorial this week. So I hope that's helpful, and make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that button if you want to get the daily price analysis on Bitcoin and trending altcoins, so you can get those notifications when new videos are posted. And last thing I'm going to touch on is Ethereum right now, which has been holding it up pretty valiantly, but it looks like it might be getting a breakdown right now. Why do I say that? Well, we've had this daily range coming back from here, maintaining the higher low structure. I think it got destroyed right there. And any kind of a daily closure below, 3,900. And I think we'll get that move back down to about 36, 36.50, maybe even swipe that purple 200 exponential moving average. I'd say, yeah, if Bitcoin wants to break down to 42, 43,000, I think 34 to 3,500 probably gets tested. And that would be what I would consider a decent buying opportunity. Why? We know the point of failure, right? If you bought at 3,400, any kind of a daily closure back below 3,400, and moves probably coming down to 2,750. And so for me, that would be a pretty decent way to, know how to manage my risk. On the other side, a couple things to note. It looks like some of our trending altcoins like Mana and Sand, right, putting in major tops, coming down to some of those blue box territories we've been talking about over the past few weeks. And, really, this could get a lot more violent than I thought if Bitcoin does want to break down. You might see, again, tests as low as, $1.80. This is a massive range. And, well, when you have massive upside, you've got massive downside. So pretty much I'm steering clear from a lot of this stuff right now. Just until Bitcoin wants to, really pick a direction, right? If Bitcoin wants to bounce and recover, I'm happy to, jump on the side of the party. Right now, I think there's not a whole lot of reason to, put a whole lot of risk on because, we've had a great year, right? So, more conservative assets like Bitcoin, in my opinion, that have very low downside risk, great upside potential. For long term, if your view is Bitcoin is changing the future of money, and you believe that more and more investors and more hedge funds and more people are going to be coming into this market, then, well, if you can buy the dip like MicroStrategies, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars they just bought again, but I think it's, the overall sentiment in the market. The guy has been spot on with his predictions on Bitcoin, and his money is where the mouth is, right? So he's buying the dip almost every single time. And I think a lot of these companies are positioning themselves to hold Bitcoin and cryptocurrency long term in the future. And I think they're doing it for a reason, right? So with that said, hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed day. That's it. I'll sign out. Take care.